This is Jilou, and we've been talking about very sensitive subjects. So this is a little trigger warning. We've been talking about sexual harassment. We've been talking about discrimination. We've been talking about sexism, and we've been talking about actually even genocide.
Yeah.
So yeah, be warned. This is a trigger warning. We've been talking about difficult subjects.
Yeah. Well, and if you're tuning in, thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy. Okay, well, welcome to the Duke London podcast. Again, I don't know exactly what episode this will be because they might be all released in different orders, but I'm here with a wonderful person called Jilou. We're at Groovanometry in Manchester. Yeah, that's the intro basically. Hi, how are you?
Fine. How are you?
I'm good. We just did the panel discussion downstairs, so we've kind of started to speak a little bit. There's some things that we covered, I guess. I don't really, with this, like, I don't really have too much an agenda or some stuff I want to discuss. It's more just, whatever we discuss. So feel free to go in any like tangents and stuff. But yeah, I guess just in general, like, how are you? How's things? Like, I know, we see, this is something that I always am conscious of with dancers or friends of mine and stuff, but it's like, we see social media and you're doing well and everybody's like, oh, you're working with Nike and you're winning battles, and it's like, it's easy for us to say, oh, everything's going really well for you, but maybe for you it's like, this is the worst time in my life, or you know what I mean? It's never the same as what we see. So actually, like, how is everything for you internally? Are you feeling good? Is everything going well? Maybe a too deep question to start.
Wow, very, very deep question. But yeah, we had the warm up downstairs.
Yeah.
I mean, I do know another podcast that I'm listening to that is called Danke Gut, which is pretty much like, how are you doing? Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you? So it's pretty much this superficial thing. So that just reminds me to it, because at the moment, at the moment we're having the whole war happening in Ukraine. We're having there are just so many social issues happening at the moment. We're not even over the pandemic yet. So there's just so much happening. And if I would say I'm fine, then I would probably lie. I would say my biggest issue at the moment, it's a very deep one, but I have Iraqi heritage.
Okay.
So I know what it means to be a refugee.
Yes, sure.
I mean, I'm not a refugee. I'm second generation, but
it's in the history in the family.
I lost pretty much my whole family to a genocide.
Wow.
So, and if my family hasn't been a victim to it, then at least they have still been a victim to it, because they have been the ethnicity that was supposed to be erased.
Of course, yeah.
So I'm talking about the Kurdish people, and it's just kind of weird to see everything that is happening right now. And it is great to see how Germany in this case is welcoming refugees, but at the same time, I don't even want to like dig too deep into this, but I know that us brown people haven't been that welcome back then. So I do want to speak up. I do want to say, like, hey, let's all help together. Let's work together. But then at the same time, I just really, really hope that us brown people will get that help at the next time too, because we know there is a boat somewhere between probably Morocco and the coast of Italy or the coast of Spain, and that boat is not allowed to enter the European space.
Yeah,
so,
but meanwhile, all the other refugees.
And like being aware of all this, and it makes me feel like a human of second class human. So yeah, this is how I feel at the moment. How do you feel at the moment?
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, yeah, I hear you. Like, I think it's obviously I don't have this type of connection with the stuff that's happening, but I think, it's always one of those things where it's like there's the artist life and your kind of day-to-day life and the things that you want to achieve and your hopes and dreams, and then underneath there's always this like undercurrent of all the stuff that's happening in the world, like especially for us in the last few years. Like, I can't even imagine for like young kids, like, because obviously like the world is never happy and peaceful, but there's been a lot of times where we haven't had like a giant pandemic, like all these things, and I think for the last like few years, it's super hard to not only deal with everything that's going on in the world, and then plus on top of that, personal stuff that's like, let's say for me, like personal stuff that's going on in my life, which makes my life already hard if there wasn't a pandemic. And then on top of that, I'm like, and I'm ambitious and I want to achieve this. I want to start something. I want to leave my job. I want to, like I went freelance just before the pandemic started.
Very good timing.
Like 6 months or something. So I was like, I'm like, okay, I'm a freelance artist. And not only do I want to survive, I want to get better and do more ambitious things. And it's already that scary without these layers of everything. So I think it's just like, I mean, as people, and I don't know how old you are, but I'm 32, and it's like, even for me, this was like a super fucking hard time. So like, I'm thinking of like 18-year-olds or younger, who are like trying to achieve things or do things in their life, and they have to deal with all these things. Plus, like, for example, like what you said about you having connections to some of these stuff, like really direct connections to some of the stuff happening. And it's like, man, and like fucking this shit is hard.
Yeah.
And it's like you want to try and balance everything. You don't want to just give up on your day-to-day dreams and stuff. But yeah, man, it's hard. It's tough.
I think, but at the same time, I've seen you being active the last years without even having met you yet.
Oh, really?
This is
that's really nice.
I think this is the first time we personally meet, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So I already saw you being active, and I for myself, I know that I definitely never stood still the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This is just with all that's happening around us. There's this kind of balance of on one side you feel guilty for doing something, because if you do something, if you take the opportunities that you're given, you might eventually be successful. And being successful in a time where people suffer, people lose their jobs, people lose all their hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
I think this is something that what I ask myself, is it okay to be all right at the moment? Is it okay to, I would not say that I'm moving on, because this is not moving on.
Sure.
This is just keep fighting just with other obstacles at the moment, because it's not that there has not been a fight with a freelance career, especially in the artistic world. It's always some kind of fight.
Yeah.
But at the moment, we're not only fighting our fight, we're fighting a bigger fight at the same time.
Yeah.
But are we allowed to fight our own fight still at the moment?
I mean, the thing for me is like, I don't really like this idea that because somebody else has it worse, you aren't allowed to be upset. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, but your life is so perfect. Yeah, okay, of course. But there's people that have more perfect life than me, and it doesn't mean they can't feel feelings. And I think this idea that it's like, because there's always somebody that had it worse in history, in life, even in the like, no matter how far you go, there's always somebody you can find that was more oppressed, or more, something worse happened to them. And I don't think it's productive to, let's say it's for us with other people, it's not productive, when somebody says, oh, I feel really stressed or anxious, and they say, yeah, but what about this thing that's going on in there? You're so lucky. And it's like, but you still feel your feelings, and you need to, on a personal level, you need to work through them. Now, if you're saying, I don't care about that because I've got my own problems, it's like, well, yeah, okay, we need to prioritize. But, you still have to feel your feelings. Otherwise, we're going to be horrible people that are all repressed, and you know what I mean? So I think it's like, these things matter to us. It's
about finding the mix between not going into whataboutism, but also not getting ignorant towards what's happening.
Exactly.
I think it's, as a human being, and again, like we're two people with a certain platform, there's a certain responsibility that we have, and we do have to use that responsibility. But at the same time, we also have to maintain a certain mental health. And what kept us going the last years will keep us going right now when times are hard. And again, as you said, it's not the first time that something hard is happening. People lose their loved ones on a daily basis. Somebody's losing somebody every day. And comparing pains will not get us anywhere. Just because I have a history with genocide doesn't mean that my pain is bigger than anybody else's pain. I'm not going there and Googling, oh, how many people died in Iraq? Okay, how many people died in Ukraine? And I'm saying my pain is bigger than your pain. Because that's not what it is about. It's not about that. It's about realizing the pain that other people are feeling and being respectful towards it. I think that's what it is. So,
and in
but
a
at
way,
the same time, happiness is just the most important thing. Giving up your happiness because of somebody else's pain, that would just cause more pain in the world.
yeah. And it's not like what does it achieve? You know, I think like you said, it's that balance of that. But what, like, we still kind of need to enjoy our lives, you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, if you're going to take an active step to like, okay, I'm going to give up my time to go and help or volunteer or donate or something like that, cool, but that's productive and that's helpful to them. But me sitting and just feeling like I can't enjoy my life is not helping anybody.
No, it's about also where do you get the energy to help other people? Because we don't have endless energy. We don't have an endless mental capacity to read the news every day and because again, like as we said, like there's so much happening at the same time. We still have the Uyghurs in China working in the camps. We still have a war happening between Palestine and Israel. We still have missiles being sent to Somalia, and everything is happening at the same time. I think what is right now, I mean, obviously the media always has a big focus on the West, having the Western world,
the narrative,
talking about the Europe, Canada, the USA, and there's always a certain focus because these are economic superpowers. And just because the media now is having their focus and is actually aware that there can be so much lost, it doesn't mean that we haven't had this before. It's just it hasn't hit us yet. And I think being
like, what time in history has this not been happening somewhere?
Exactly. But I think when we talk about the arts, it is what keeps us going. It is what is also our voice. Because at the end, speaking about my father is an artist. He paints.
Nice.
And he has been a Peshmerga, which is the army for the Kurdish people in Iraq.
Right.
So he has really been at the forefront of the Iraq war back then. But at the same time, his ambition was never to fight. His ambition was always peace. So he saw his role as somebody who documented. So he's at the moment, his art is, it might be very dark, but he's drawing from his memory. He's painting from his memory to just document what has happened. And his art is forever. His art will forever show, and it shows more than just photographies. It shows emotion. It doesn't show, oh, these mountains have been dark red. No, the dark red represents his feeling and how he actually experienced the situation. So I think the arts are just such an important outlet, but also such an important voice. And I think this is something that we should not forget.
100%.
And if we talk about the hip hop scene, getting together, sending our energies and getting together and also expressing ourselves, it's something that we shouldn't underestimate, I think.
And I think what's really important to not forget is, like, a lot of times when we look back in history in like certain societal moments, like maybe even like the civil rights movement in the States or whatever you might pick, a lot of the lens that we view those moments through is the arts. So it's like what music was being created, like even like let's say the civil rights movement, you have like, there's a lot of stuff that Nina Simone did in response to that.
Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah. And we like look at her, like I watched a documentary about her. I don't know where it was, on Netflix or something, but there's a documentary about her and like her work and stuff. And it's like through her music, her life, we understand what happened. And even, I mean,
we come from hip hop.
Yeah. And it's all about this type of thing.
We talk about Public Enemy. We talk about Rage Against the Machine. Even the names of these groups are already names that show that they are standing up for something.
And I think this is important. You said downstairs about, I'm paraphrasing, but like you said something about kind of reflecting the time and who we are now, as well as respecting the kind of history. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of times in hip hop, I don't know if you share this view, but I find like we tend to like, what our art can be is about hip hop history, right? And it's like, my art is about b-boying from the 80s and blah blah. Cool, but like those people were reacting to their times. That's why that whole thing was created. So what they've passed on is not something for us to reference them. It's for us to reference our times and to pass that on to the next generation who are then going to, you know what I mean? No. So I think for me, it's like really important where it's like, yes, I respect and love the people that created this culture, but also what I want to do with what they've passed on is like even with these conversations or with my dance or with the things I do photography and video. So like the things that I document, it's like I'm documenting now so that in the future you can see now and be like, this is what we learned and moved on. And I think whether that's about the culture that you're in or about the state of the world, it's like we need to respond to like where we're at, whether it's like, okay, you have, your connection, like let's say your father like creating these paintings. It's like there's also a perspective of like someone from London who it's like, okay, how do you feel to be a bit disconnected from what's happening? And the media is this, but you still want to be involved. And it's like, okay, create art around that and let people see your perspective. And, I think this is, for me, is super important to like reflect where you're at and the reality of it without pretending to be something you're not, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's about authenticity, I think.
Yeah.
Because we don't have to, we also, of course, we have to stand in, we have to protest, we have to use our voices, we have to use every aspect to actually bring out the truth. But at the same time, authenticity means realizing the war is not happening in my country.
Right.
Like we're not, at the moment, a victim of the situation.
Yeah.
We are the victim of the media because the media is sharing very traumatizing pictures, obviously. Yeah. But the question is, how do we work with the situation? Yeah. And yeah, again, like I think it's just our responsibility to take care of ourselves, but also take care of the of other humans.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and that can mean as much like the direct victims or the people around us. Mm-hmm. Like if everybody, I always have, this is like my my mantra, I guess, my motto for life is like, whatever the subject is, it's like, okay, it may be really hard and daunting to change the entire world. Maybe you can't change the entire world, but you can change the like circle of people around you. And it's like, if I take care of them and I make sure they're cool, I am support, if there's people that need support, if people need a shoulder, they need something, they are going to do the same. They are going to do the same. And maybe this way we're going to change the world. I think, it's like, if you look at the whole big picture and you say, oh, it's too much, and then you're not going to do really anything. You know what I mean?
No, I absolutely agree. I think it's about the uncomfortable conversations also.
Definitely.
Because when we realize, and this goes for all types of uncomfortable conversations, not only about what is happening right now, because I think most people that in my circle agree on the subject.
Of course.
But then I try to stand in against sexism in any type of conversation.
I've seen you've been very vocal online about this type of thing
exactly,
as well.
Because maybe obviously it's a form of discrimination that I experience,
of course.
But at the same time, it's also a form of discrimination that I still need to figure out, because sexism is not, and this is what many people misunderstand, that sexism is not women going on the street and fighting for their rights. Sexism is about equality, and sexism means as well that, like before we actually turned on the mics, you were asking me what my work is with Nike, and I told them like, hey, I really like how you're standing up for worries that women have. Like they posted a really, really beautiful video about pregnant athletes.
Okay, nice.
It's something that really always pops up in my mind because, I'm a woman. I might get pregnant in the next years. So it is something that really motivated me, that both is possible. But on the other hand, I also asked them, and I'm not saying that this is not the case. It's just something, okay, I know you have plus size. I hate the word plus size, but unfortunately people know what I'm talking about.
That's how they describe it,
Yes, they have plus size models on the website, but then do they have plus size male models? And this is something that we all talk about, body positivity, but then body positivity is not only something that women suffer from, not suffer from, that women need, but this is something that men need too. We need body positivity for the skinny guys that have problems actually building
muscle,
building mass, and we need body positivity for the people who actually have problems losing weight. And we do need visibility for these people, because we've been so stuck in our sexual in the sexism conversation that we always think like, okay, we need to support women here, women there, women there, women there. But there's so many, the spectrum of genders, first of all, is so big, and everybody has their own discrimination. So, and when we talk about sexism, it's just in general discrimination
equality,
that you that you suffer from a certain gender and certain expectations from your gender.
I couldn't agree more. Like, I think I have this issue a lot, and I think it's obviously there's my I guess passion and caring for the women in my life and for the women that I interact with, that I want to care for them also. And then there's the side where it's like, okay, but as a man, like you said, it's like something that I experience. So it's a different type of understanding of the issues because I went through it and I felt it. You know what I mean? So I think on that, I'm trying to think where to start with this. On that subject, I have this thing that I was talking about before. I wrote a Facebook status about it, but I think the thing that's interesting with men is like, I don't know if you heard the phrase or the saying respecting women, only respecting women that you're attracted to isn't respecting women, right? Which is, of course, it's true and it's a great thing. But I think a similar thing happens with men.
Of course.
And it's like, what I was speaking about is, we talk about, let's say, body positivity for men. But as soon as we don't like a man, let's say, for example, Trump, pretty regardless, not many people like him and, whatever. But we immediately resort to making fun of how fat he is or how his hair is and stuff like that. And it's like, just because we don't like him, that doesn't now make that okay, because it's the same if that was a black guy and I didn't like him because he was Republican and right wing and stuff, but I started being racist towards him. Is that okay? It's like if the thing is not an issue, it doesn't become an issue when you hate that person. And I think as much as, okay, maybe Trump is not going to hear people's tweets or whatever they're saying, but I am. If you're saying this about Trump and you're like, this fat loser, blah, blah, I'm going to be like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, Jilou's only saying nice things to me because she likes me. What if Jilou starts to hate me? All of a sudden, I'm the fatty.
Oh my God, those people with blue eyes.
Yeah, yeah. And, it's like, I think it's, and I think this applies across the board for all these things. We have to be really careful. When we dislike someone or they're a horrible person even, it's like, they might deserve, you might think they deserve to feel bad, right? Whoever we're talking about, you deserve this, you deserve that. But it's like these issues, it's not just that person listening, it's the people around you that are listening. And it's like, are they going to start to, is this going to be aimed at me as soon as, you know what I mean? And it's the same with women, I try to be careful of that, it's like, okay, if I don't like a woman, it's like, what is it that I'm insulting her about? Of course, we all don't like people. It's not to say I love every woman. Of course, there's women I just don't like. But it's like, it's not because they're a woman. And if I am going to argue with someone, I'm not going to attack those characteristics of them. It's like, you as a person are a piece of shit. But exactly. I'm not going to make fun of the way you look, or I'm not going to be like, you're fat, or you know what I mean? Because then it's like, listen what message I'm sending to the women around me. It's like, okay, if I don't like you, that's going to be you next. And then, you know what I mean? We're not really talking about equality. We're just talking about respecting the people that we are attracted to, or whatever
very true.
The situation might be. So this is something I'm really passionate about, I guess.
Yeah, what I'm saying now, I might rewind a little bit.
Sure.
About what you said earlier. Speaking up about problems, I think this is something. I had a conversation because I'm in a group chat for a gym, and then somebody was just tired of a situation. So he spoke up in the group chat, and he wrote a big paragraph about, hey guys, maybe if you want to give feedback to all the girls, maybe keep it for yourself or ask if they want your feedback, because those girls are getting annoyed by you. And I was just like, that's nice. Okay, cool. And all I wrote in the group chat was like, thank you. Thanks for mentioning that. And then the whole conversation came up, and there were so many voices that said, why aren't the women saying that? Why aren't they saying something about that? And I think this is something, and I would like to just bring it up because this is me bringing up plus size models for men.
Yes, yeah.
Because something that we need to realize is that if we don't suffer a certain discrimination, we can speak up about it without opening our own traumas. Because if I talk about sexual harassment, then I'm always going to talk with a certain feeling of like, okay, I hope I don't have to talk about my own experiences. I hope I don't have to justify my feelings. But if I talk about like, hey, stop discriminating overweight men. Stop discriminating them, because I'm neither overweight nor a man.
Yeah.
So I go into that conversation without any feelings, without any traumas.
Yeah.
And this is something that people might have to realize, that the uncomfortable conversations don't have to be with the victim of the discrimination and somebody who needs to be educated.
Yes.
No, it has to be somebody who's not a victim and the person who needs to get educated.
Yeah.
So personally, we can always think about, okay, what are the fields where I don't feel traumatized, where I don't feel triggered?
Yeah.
Because triggers only bring us into situations, they bring us into emotions that might even lead us into losing control. And this is always, losing control is always it's always a feeling of being insecure, of always not knowing what you're doing. So nobody wants to be in that situation.
And it's really hard to have an intelligent conversation about something when you are triggered and angry and emotional.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why I would like to motivate people to just speak up about things that they are not a victim from.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think this is going to sound like a really shitty analogy, but like,
let's get corny.
Yeah. No, but it's more like it's like, I don't mean to trivialize what we're talking about, but like, I have started, since I've been doing this and then the capsule and stuff, I started kind of paying more attention to the breaking scene. And it's like, to talk about like the idea of perspective and stuff like that. It's like, I'm not a breaker. I've been around breakers a lot. I have great friends who are breakers and stuff. And of course you can't really grow up in the hip hop scene without being around it, but I'm paying attention to it with like almost a neutral thing. I don't have any, like, there's not some people that I'm like, that's the wrong way of breaking, or this is like this, or that guy was horrible, or he shouldn't be I'm just like, okay, I'm just looking from the outside. Hey, let me learn what's cool. Okay, that guy's really successful. And I'm just kind of neutral to it. So there's no real emotion in the way I'm considering breaking or learning
and
about it.
You're also not really in competition with.
Exactly. And there's no competition. There's no anything. So I think, like I said, it's a shitty analogy, but it's like this idea of like speaking from a place of neutrality, I guess is the word. But like, so it's like, yeah, if I'm going to speak about the sexism or something that happens to women, I'm going to speak from a place where I'm like, I've seen this, I've heard different accounts, and also maybe I'm going to bring something in from like a different point of view that it's like, I'm not going to have that emotion behind it. And maybe it's sometimes you need those voices. You need the people to speak up passionately and to say, this happened to me and I'm not going to let it go. But then you maybe also need someone to go, hey, this didn't happen to me, but I still care and I still want to have an intelligent conversation and help with this subject. And it's like, I think this mix of voices is what we kind of need, I guess, with each other. And we can kind of trade that, it's like, hey, I'm not a victim of something that you've been a victim of, so let me give my side. And then you can say, well, yeah, like I'm not an overweight male, so let me ask you or give you my opinion. And it's like, I think this is a real nice way of us. It's like an ecosystem of help. You know what I mean? Like we all kind of step in. It's like, okay, you help me about that, so let me listen when you have a problem. And
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but damn, we started off on the heavy topics, huh?
Very.
I like it.
But I think it's just I think we started off with this happy topic because you are obviously like, your thing is talking.
Yeah.
And my thing is about speaking up, which is a little bit different than talking and having conversations. But having a message and having a responsibility to bring your message to the people, to the audience, I think it's something not everybody needs to have that. And I don't want to say that everybody has to become a podcaster, a motivational speaker or anything. I just want to, sometimes it's also to realize, okay, what is my position in this? Where do I see myself? Because I personally found that role when I spoke up about sexual harassment.
Yeah.
And I experienced situations. If anybody wants to read the article, I published an article on my blog, justjilou.wordpress.com. And afterwards, there have been so many voices who claimed that I just want attention. That's why I'm writing that article. Well, I'm asking you, like, who in the world wants to be known as the victim? Honestly, I definitely don't.
Yeah.
It's just for me.
It's a weird response.
I was just tired of seeing all these situations. But then as well, people ask, like, you need to name the predators, otherwise it didn't happen. But then what I saw the following months was just there has been conversation. People have been talking maybe about me, maybe about the article. I don't even care. But at the end, my goal was having people to talk about it, having people to see, oh shit, this is happening, and they actually feel uncomfortable about it.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I need to fix my own behavior.
Yep.
Maybe I need to fix the behavior of my bro. And now, I definitely feel like there has been a movement in the scene.
Yeah.
And this was the moment when I realized, like, oh shit, actually, like, people care what I say.
Yeah,
because,
of course.
No, I mean, you say of course, but...
Well, sorry, for me.
No, I'm just
course.
talking from my perspective. Being a woman, being a POC woman with a brown woman, this is not the case if people actually listen to me.
Sure.
I am pretty successful in the commercial scene, and I still go to jobs and white old men don't shake my hand.
Wow.
This has happened so many times. I don't even like... I don't even like I can not even like show a situation, because I can tell you, like, this happened probably every second job that I've been to.
Yeah.
I was just not important enough. And talking about me being like a just a dancer, this has happened lately to the president of the European Commission.
What happened?
Von der Leyen, I think that's her name.
Okay.
I just saw it's a feminist page that threw a video of her standing on the left, a man standing on the right, another man coming in, passing her, ignoring her, going to the other man, shaking his hand, and standing in the middle between the two of them, and she's just looking at him, and it's just like,
this
okay, I got the message.
Yeah.
No, and realizing that I have a voice.
Yeah.
I think some people it doesn't really matter the gender. I think sometimes we feel like our voice is taken away by society, and it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But at the end, I think it does matter, and it doesn't matter how many people you reach. If you reach one person, that is one person that you have an influence on.
100%.
And if you have a big Instagram account, obviously your voice has a reach and it has a weight. And this is something that I realized in that moment, and that just felt empowering.
Yeah.
So I would like to give this empowerment to other people too.
Definitely. I think around that time when you wrote that article, I think there was a photographer that also wrote something. I forget who.
Hey, she's a friend of mine.
What's her name?
Let's not mention her name.
Okay.
Let's just mention what she wrote about.
Yeah, because there was
also...
I remember around that time that you and her wrote those articles. I'm not sure if there was anyone else, but I remember even me and a good friend of mine, we had like maybe an hour, 2 hour conversation about these things. Like, we just saw it and it was like, I can't remember exactly the conversation we had, but it was just like, I remember us like talking about it. It's like, oh, did you read the thing? Did you read the thing? Yeah. And then it's like, have you ever thought about this part? Or like, just like in a way, like checking in. And it wasn't like hey, let's have a conversation to check in, but it was like, we just started talking naturally, and it ended up being like, checking in if we our moral compass was right. Like, we're like, hey, this is cool, right? The way we are, and this is cool. And he's like, yeah, I think so. I'm like that. And it's like, yeah, but I would do like in this situation. It's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's cool, And we just had this long conversation, and it was just from this thing where it's like, neither of us were recognizing ourselves. Like, we're like, this probably isn't. They're not talking about us. Like, we're not this type of guy. But let's still have the conversation to make sure. I
think what you had is a moment of actually realizing, okay, this is happening. And the fact that you were insecure actually shows that you were checking on yourself. You were checking yourself. You were maybe correcting yourself. And I think these are the moments that actually allow us to grow, to become better people.
Yeah.
And
it's not to say if you need to change, you're a bad person.
Nah.
It's like just updates.
I think it's as well as its education is not there where it has to be. The whole, especially men and women getting to know each other and communicating with each other, that really doesn't work well often. And I think just a little questioning your own behavior might make you a better person. And even if you have good intentions, sometimes these good intentions don't come out right because you've been taught something that is not right. Just go like dudes going to parties and hunting girls, and it's just amazing how many girls they've had. But then if a girl had a lot of guys, it's horrible and she should better be a virgin, or like this whole conversation. I don't even want to open it right now, but I think the conversation that you had with your friend, I think this is exactly what we need at this point. Maybe you two haven't been the ones that as women have to worry about,
or like at least not in the extreme.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, it's not to say that, let's say me and this particular friend that I'm talking about, because maybe we didn't do something that's like an extreme offense that is gonna really upset someone, it doesn't mean that I didn't say something that made someone feel uncomfortable or do something, even if it's a little thing. It's like, okay, I just still want to make sure about that. Still, those parts still aren't okay. And it's like, yeah, it doesn't have to be that you're either a saint or a evil person. It's like sometimes we just aren't.
Usually not the case.
Yeah, exactly. You're in the middle. You do
white.
some things that you don't mean to be offensive, and sometimes you do some stuff that you say wrong. You know, my mom always used to say to me like it doesn't really matter your intention when you say or do something. I mean, it does, of course, but like it's more about how it was received. So it's like if me and you, we have a conversation and you say, Luke, I'm really upset with something you said. I'm not like, yeah, but I didn't mean it like that, so don't be upset. It's like you were upset. I can say to you, hey, listen, just so you know, it wasn't a bad intention and this is what I meant, but I'm still sorry that you felt that way, and maybe I'm going to think about it next time or phrase something differently, because it's about, I upset you, and that's the main thing, even if it's doesn't have to be the most extreme thing to address it.
Yeah, actually, it's super nice that you bring that up, because there's a super simple, super beautiful picture that I read by Tupoka Ogette. Okay. She's a German author, and she wrote a book called Exit Racism. Exit Racism.
Okay, Exit
Racism, exactly. It's a super good book, but I think it's only available in German.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
If it is available in other languages, read it, because it just shows a lot of subliminal forms of discrimination. And she described exactly the conversation about intentions in this way. So I drive my car, and I drive with my car over your foot.
Yeah.
Then at the end, I'll be like, oh, yeah, but I didn't mean to drive over your foot.
Yeah.
It was not my intention. Obviously, I didn't mean to hurt you.
Yeah.
Doesn't change anything that your foot is hurt.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, still call an ambulance.
Exactly. So obviously I need to I know it wasn't my intention, but at the end I need to recognize your pain. I need you to give you the chance to feel pain, and I need to allow you to feel pain.
Yeah.
Because when we have these conversations and somebody tries to show you, but it wasn't my intention to hurt you, I give you also the message that you are not allowed to feel pain. And this is something that at the moment, even if we have a conversation with somebody who's triggered by everything that is happening right now, and they come off rude at the same time, and then maybe we have to realize, like, wait a minute, in what situation are they at the moment? Let them have their pain at the moment.
Yeah.
And this is exactly like this. Maybe rounds it up.
Yeah.
We've been talking about ignorance and whataboutism. At the moment, I think something with acting accordingly to the situation is give people the time to feel their pain. If it is grief, if it is even just being invested with the situation, being directly being directly
affected,
exactly, affected by the situation, or just being stressed out by the media. Let everybody feel the pain they are feeling.
Yeah.
Because if we take away somebody the right to feel pain, then they can't heal.
Yeah. And it's you're gonna repress it and bottle it up, and this is never helpful.
And if I allow you to feel your pain, and I'm gonna be I'm so sorry, I really didn't mean to do this, I really hope your pain is gonna go away. well, then maybe you realize like, oh shit, I might want to go to hospital to heal my foot. But if I tell you like, can't be that bad, it was just my car and I didn't like, that was not what I wanted, then you and yourself was like, yeah, she really didn't mean to drive over my foot. I really shouldn't complain. No.
Yeah.
Like the pain we feel is the pain we feel.
Yeah. And I really like the way this, I guess, connects with me is like what you were saying earlier about I guess even like overweight men or men body positivity, I guess, because we brought that up already. But like, yeah, this is something that I would feel, like, I mean, even you saying that is super nice for me to just hear in a personal way. But like, just like, people like, I don't know, like recognizing the pain and the fact that these things are issues to people, it kind of, how do you say that? Like, allows you to recognize that it's something that's okay to feel a way about, you know what I mean? And I think there's different, it's super easy to, I mean, because it's true, but like to say, women have their voice silenced and stuff like that. And of course that's true. But then also like, let's say for me, I find that men do in certain aspects, like if I'm emotional or something, it's like, yeah, man up, or, when we grow up, you're kind of told like
don't
that.
Don't cry, you're a boy, man up. That word man up.
Yeah.
Is already something. It's like man up. Like I never heard that.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Or stop being a pussy. What?
And it's like you can't worry, you can't be insecure. You can't even like not to. I guess I don't care, but like to not to too much go down that road. But like sexuality is a big thing for me growing up as a guy, because it's even like one example for me is like growing up, you could never turn down sex. If this hot girl is like, oh, come back to mine. If you don't want to, it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You like, what, you know what I mean? Like, don't be a pussy, whatever. It's like, this is something that I felt like there was never a understanding about the like complexities of sexuality as a straight guy. It's like, no, but you just want to fuck everything.
No, but yeah, this is right,
you know what I mean?
Right. And this comes back to the behavior of women, because. And this is where I need to talk about sexual harassment that comes from women, because also women sometimes, when women become, übergreiflich, let's just say women become harassing and they just become too touchy. It's often recognized as being okay. But no, if somebody, the gender really doesn't matter.
It's like you should love the attention because you're a guy. You love that attention.
Yeah. Not only the attention, but I feel like a woman grabbing a man's butt is not as bad as a man grabbing a woman's butt. But no, we're really talking like
the action is not okay.
Action is not okay. Being a woman, you're not allowed to touch a man's butt without his okay with it. So and like just talking about that, I totally like. I don't understand, but I try to understand how a man feels in that situation, because this is not a situation. If I go down here to this jam and somebody grabs my butt, I'm gonna go to the mic and be like, "Yo, somebody grabbed my butt.
Somebody's getting
this
knocked
is not
out."
okay." Everybody's gonna be like,
"Yes,
yes."
Yeah.
But I don't know how a man would feel about that.
Yeah.
I don't even think you would go on the mic and say that it's not okay.
Yeah, I mean. No, maybe not go on the mic, but I mean, it's, to be honest with you, like, again, like I'm 32 and it's only something in the last, my mid-20s upwards that I realized like it's okay to feel these things. And I'm still dealing with this stuff now of like issues from that, like growing up with being told these things. And, it's really something, I think the whole point that we were making is about, recognizing the way people feel. And it's like, I guess the version with men, I would say, is the, like, you know the intentions thing, right? It's like, okay, but you how do I say that? Like, it was I did something, you didn't like it, but you're a guy, so, and I'm a good looking woman, so it's okay, you know what I mean? And it's like, even if put it this way, even if a girl did grab my ass, right? And even if she was attractive and she is someone that I wanted, like I turn around and I say, well, actually, do it again, But it doesn't mean it was okay in the first place. And it's like, okay, if your intention was to flirt with me or something like that, and even if we have something or whatever, it's still like, okay, let me feel that wasn't okay and that made me feel uncomfortable. then we can talk about whatever, you know, like, okay, fine, you can have my number, but don't do that again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think every conversation, every dispute has to start with recognizing people's feelings.
Yeah, I think that's a great message.
That's the first.
Yeah. And then we can get into how do we deal with this? You know, what do we do to move forward? But yeah, not to like, oh, but don't be upset because I didn't mean it. Like the car thing. I think that's a great example. The driving over someone's foot.
Yeah.
I think that's a great example.
So let's recognize people's feelings.
Yeah.
Let's allow people to feel the way they feel.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great message. Damn. Like I want to ask you about dance stuff, but now it's like we're going from deep to shallow. Do you mind if I ask you some dance things?
How about we go for a part 2?
Yeah.